Hello and welcome to the Small World Podcast, the podcast where you are the topic of discussion.
I'm your host, Nate Pearson.
Oh, that was a weird transition. I'm your host, Austin Newborn.
And once again, I'm your guest host, James Flowers.
And today we have...
Chris Long.
Ah, man.
So, I don't know why Austin had such a hard time with that transition because we literally, point by point, talked about how we were going to do it right before we hit record.
We did.
What's your middle name?
Daniel.
Daniel.
Ew.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
It's like Daniel in the Lion's Den. Have you
I
ever been in
swear
a
I
Lion's
know,
Den?
like... No, I haven't. I know, like, 3 other people whose middle name is
Those are
Daniel.
Three very generic names.
Chris, Daniel.
Okay, whoa, buddy.
just playing.
Your name is
I didn't-
Nathaniel.
Like, there's an
I came
inside
out on
joke
the offensive.
with some of my friends. Like, if someone is a bad driver, we call them Daniel. Like, I don't
Why?
know. We just go look at
you a
that
bad
Daniel.
driver?
It's a discreet way of calling him Chris, pointing at the one so you won't know.
Are you a
I
bad
feel like I now
driver?
have to change the name.
I don't think I'm a bad driver.
I've never seen you drive, and I've never ridden with
You
you.
did see me drive. I pulled in.
Well,
Chris
you're
just
on, like,
rides with
5
his
miles
windows
an
down,
hour.
blasting music wherever
I
he
mean, we
goes.
did see
True.
a
Do
finger
what?
stuck in your
Chris
bumper.
just goes, you ride everywhere with your windows down, blasting music.
That's
Yeah.
fair, but not like an
On an
obnoxiously loud.
Apple Music Shuffle.
Yes.
True. Yes, actually, we will
Yeah.
go straight from Kendrick Lamar to Motown music to a sea shanty, back to Kendrick Lamar like that.
Kendrick Lamar is a third of the playlist,
Sounds very interesting.
or the library. I said it.
So
Okay.
I thought he had a point, and I
just
looked over at
I
him.
mean,
for
that's what I was-
the
I'm
resume.
looking over at my computer, and then I look up, and I see everyone is staring at me. I don't know what's going on.
And
this show's going great without me hosting.
Oh,
Thanks,
man,
guys.
This is what happens when Chris is not the main host. So we just jump right into this co-host.
I'm in danger.
I guess we should.
James just said, "I'm in danger."
James, how
Okay.
you doing today?
I'm doing mid.
You're doing. Do you want
It
to
is.
elaborate on that for a moment?
Just busy doing stuff outside of work. So just house sitting outside of work.
House
Yeah.
sitting. What's that like?
You just stay at someone's house and
sit
take
in
care of their
houses.
animals for them.
You sit on the house.
You sit on the house.
If
Yes.
you're house sitting someone else's house, who's house sitting your house?
And is it on
And-
the house?
And does the end of
Oh.
this chain result in a homeless person getting a home for a few days?
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Bro, that's a.
So the moral of the story
that's
is everybody needs to house sit. So then everybody gets a house except for that one person.
If you think about it, this is just renting with extra
That's
steps.
It is.
That's a go-to strategy. If you just house sit and you have a good enough schedule, you never have to have your own home.
Exactly.
Exactly. And you're getting paid to do it.
I'm gonna list one of those Craigslist ads of a house sitter.
There you go.
What if you rent out the house that you're currently house sitting as an Airbnb?
Oh.
Double your
Deception.
income.
Double income.
You know,
That is double income. Then you just gotta,
Bro, how are
that
you
sounds like
gonna
a
get
goal.
up
I mean, the
afterwards?
place I'm house sitting for now has a Shelby Cobra just sitting in the garage.
rent out the Shelby.
You gotta
Rent
rent
out the Shelby.
Listeners, he
On
didn't say
Turo.
that.
No,
you didn't
no, I
hear
said
the part
that.
about the
That's
Shelby.
fake. That's
the
fake.
the people James's house sitting for right now is like are watching. They're like,
I promised I did not.
And what's
do
that
anything.
address?
Yeah, about that. No.
No.
do you
Just
charge
kidding.
extra for pets?
No. They just
Oh.
give me whatever they feel like giving me.
That's a terrible.
A
That's
donation-based service.
Wow.
At the end of the
Give
thing,
whatever
they
your
said,
heart is leading you
Here-
to.
We need to market this
unless
better.
it's below $12 an hour. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm house
yeah.
sitting someone right now that I had to give their dog human food. So I had to stop
Oh.
by McDonald's to get a burger with no cheese, nothing on it, take it out of the patty to give them the burger. Usually the
What?
dogs like to eat Chick-fil-A nuggets. So
That dog's living better than me.
Yeah.
yes, I mean, you
Does that compensation come out of your pay, or is that additional money that they've put in as the dog burger fund?
dog burger fun. Never thought I would hear that together.
Yeah, the dog burger fun, you know.
I actually don't know because the first time I had to buy it, usually they set me up with like actual steak they pre-cooked, but.
So I mean,
Sounds like a bad rap to me.
Can you imagine, Ian? Am I going to get reimbursed for the McDouble or?
They're like, thanks for housing this weekend. We actually don't have any money to pay you right now, but thanks for
Dang.
giving us that McDouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, James just got a free place to live for a few days either
True.
way.
Yeah,
True.
True.
Yeah, and they have a dog to play with, so. And a
Yeah.
Shelby.
What do
don't
you
get to
do
drive.
if you just like wake up in the middle of the night and the dog's just standing over you staring?
Hey, yo.
Where's my burger?
I don't know.
Like, have you prepared yourself for this situation?
Hamburguesa.
I can think of the word.
Yep.
Yikes. Put me on the
Wow.
spot.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. But
There's
this is
a
about
5
you.
years of
This is
Spanish,
you.
and
Yeah,
that's where we've
I'm about
got.
to say there's a good transition. How your lack of Spanish is here, because you were born in Wilson, North Carolina.
Yeah, sure, Bo. Tell you what, grandest city in the state, grandest state in the country, greatest country in the world. Amen. I'm just
Sure.
kidding.
Wilson's a country.
So you were born at the Wilson Medical Center.
I was born
I'm
in
so
Wilson
sorry.
Memorial Hospital.
That
Yep.
explains a
You're living?
lot. I'm just kidding.
You know, there's something I didn't put in the show notes that we probably need to touch on towards the tail end, which is an article I wrote for the East Carolinian.
Yeah, we'll touch
So,
on that. Look at this free
relating to it's
Free
it's the
shout-out.
opposite of a shout out.
Well, no, for you.
Oh, for the East
your
Carolinian.
journalism, not the
I was
Wilson
about to
Medical
say,
Center.
Okay, I was like-
the
this is
Wilson
not a
Medical
shout-out.
Center.
I was like, I thought you were promoting like your journalism, bro. But and then you're like, no, this is no shout
Don't
out.
talk about my journalism.
No, this whole podcast is a promotion for my journalism
True,
career. Let's be
true.
honest.
I mean,
Oh man.
No, I'm just
so
kidding.
marketing here.
I announced my resignation from the Small World podcast.
Dang.
Do I get a real
Here we
spot?
go.
Just kidding. I'm messing.
Roster spot is open. James ready to
We told James before the show started that this has just been an audition this entire 3-week span
Yep.
to be the new host.
That's
So,
what it's been.
It's been fun to have you, Nate. We'll miss you, but
Hey man, I'll go behind the scenes as a producer.
no, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
They
man.
hate
yeah.
my voice.
There
Born
you
in
go.
Wilson, North Carolina. Great place. Only place I've ever lived, except for that like 2-month period where I lived in Andrews, North Carolina. Shout out to
Nice.
Snowbird. We'll touch on that later.
Andrews.
Yep.
Wilson's Wilson. For those who don't live in Wilson, it's very small town USA.
Yep.
So
There's a great card shop there. That
I don't know if it's quite small town USA. It's like half a step above small town USA.
Suburbia
it's
USA.
growing.
okay, in 2000, it was small town USA.
Yeah,
I
true.
agree. Because like when I think of
This
small
wasn't
town
here.
USA, I think of you drive through a town, you see the water tower, and then there's like
That's still Elm City.
just
I mean,
though.
that's
there's-
kinda where
there's-
I live.
There's like there
Sandsburg.
might be a Walmart, but if you it's just a neighborhood market, and you keep on going.
Yeah.
I mean, before COVID, we used to walk around Walmart. Like, there was nothing else to do, so we just walk around Walmart.
Yep.
There's the people who walked around Walmart, and then there's the people who walked around Target.
Yeah.
Those were-
Like Wilson clicks.
Good old days.
And as soon as Target closed, you went to Walmart.
Yep. Straight to
Me and
Walmart.
James used to make TikToks in Walmart.
I remember those days. Most are still my TikTok. Some were just too cringe.
They were very cringe.
I went in Walmart one time, and my friend
Same
climbed
here.
up onto the furniture display and was starting to do stuff up there, and I was like, "We're gonna get kicked out." It's
Yeah.
over.
I used to play this game with my coworkers at Chick-fil-A. After work, we would go to Walmart, and I called it Think Fast, but I would throw very breakable things at them and hope that they would catch it.
That's
And
terrible.
One time, Derek dropped a glass candle, and so
You did that to Derek. Derek's the nicest guy.
Shout out to Derek. He
Poor
was there
Derek.
for many of those escapades.
I haven't
Derek
seen
on the
him in
podcast.
forever.
We should get Derek on the podcast. Yeah.
Hi, Derek. I don't know you.
Shout out to
He's a
Derek.
pretty chill guy.
He's a fun guy.
Yep. So going back to your Wilson.
Yes.
Yes. So, born in Wilson. My parents were split up before I was born. So I was raised in 2 very different households for all of my life. My parents have been divorced, like I said, since before I was born. So I have never known what it was like for my parents to be together. So that's just always been normal to me. My mom remarried before I was cognizant. So my stepdad's been in my life my entire time. My dad never remarried. And again, that kind of led to major differences in the ways that I was brought up because my parents are very different people. And that's not to throw shade at one party or another, but they're not at all similar.
Okay. So you did the whole 2 Christmases,
2 Christmases, stayed at my dad's house every Thursday night and alternating weekends.
Holidays as a with divorced parents is a very double-edged sword.
It is.
It's like, oh yeah, I get double presents in a sense, and then it's like I have to go everywhere in one day.
I think, in a word, like the way that kind of upbringing is, it's just tiring because you're always moving, you're always on the go, especially when your parents, like, we're in the same general area, but when your parents live 25, 30 minutes apart, going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, it becomes routine. But now not having to do that anymore, I can see it can be straining.
I have
Yeah.
like 2 points to make on that to see if you can agree with them. You learn how to pack a bag very well. You become an excellent packer from my experience. But secondly, like it gets harder the more you get into adulthood, I think.
Yes.
Because you're not doing it based on like you have to. You're doing it based out of moral obligation.
Yep.
And it makes it so much harder.
Dude,
Yeah.
one of the hardest days of my life was the day I told my dad I wasn't going to live with him anymore. That was a very difficult conversation.
If you listen to last week's, I know what that feels like.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, grew up in a... Go ahead.
Go. I was gonna say, like, how do you navigate a conversation like that? Not asking for details, but like, how do you?
It just kind of happened. I hate to say like I put my foot down, but there's no other better way to say it. You know, I was just like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. These are the things that have led me to feel this way, and for these reasons, I don't feel comfortable living here anymore. So, hopefully he doesn't listen to this. Hi, Dad.
It wasn't one of the
Go listen to his episode.
I actually don't think he opened. Dude,
I keep on his phone.
learn
keeps
my
locking.
password.
I don't know your password. I'm using his
Microsoft-
phone for show notes. I
Microsoft
apologize.
tech support comes up.
So next thing is saying you grew up in a very conservative Christian school.
Yes.
How did that go?
Oh man, so I will call it blessed. I was definitely blessed and fortunate enough to grow up in a private school for all of my education. It definitely allowed me to make more of myself than I probably would have in the public school education system.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say you're an idiot.
No.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
We
off.
got public school, homeschool, private school
I'm just
right
kidding.
here at this table.
Diversity. We're all representing.
We
I had
are
a nice
representing.
blend. Go ahead.
What?
I said I had a nice blend to go.
There you go.
No, but yeah. So, I won't say the name of the school. I don't think I said it when I shouted out the principal the other week, but
I don't think you did.
I don't think it'd be that
Well,
hard
now
to find
you,
if you
told
really
them
wanted
where to go
know.
back and listen to. Like,
Yeah. If you
Okay,
wanna know,
anyway.
go back and listen. Yeah.
Yes, very conservative, King James Version Bible only type of school. And I didn't put this in the show notes, but I took Taekwondo when I was younger too.
Ooh.
So a combination of a very traditional Christian upbringing and Taekwondo as a young child instilled a lot of respect for authority and discipline in me. So I was never really a problematic kid.
Yeah.
I had my moments, but I was never the outlier.
Chris,
Question.
not a problematic kid.
I'm just kidding.
I know. Wild.
I have a question though. What is with Wilson and Taekwondo, and why are there so many dojos here? Every single person I know, ever since I moved to Wilson, I'm like, why does everybody do Taekwondo?
Because there's nothing else to do
There's
in
nothing,
Wilson.
bro.
There's like 5 of them.
You have to do Taekwondo at some point. It's just law.
It's Taekwondo, Jiu-Jitsu, and karate. There's like, okay, just look up a Wilson map and look up martial arts. You will see
This is
everywhere.
true.
Does Wilson have like little league sports leagues?
Yeah,
There's the
there's
rec
some.
league.
Okay, I
Yeah.
just figured maybe it's an alternative.
that we
Yeah.
have a Little League World Series stadium that people like to shoot at.
True. I did play
to shoot at.
soccer.
Yeah, that was a thing a few weeks ago.
I played rec league
Okay.
soccer as well, but that wasn't as long lasting. I think, did I mention the highlight of my soccer career? I think I talked about that last week.
You did a little bit.
Yeah. Headbutting the goal. Shout out to Cole.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fire. That's a great highlight. I bet you felt like amazing.
Oh, I felt like a god in that moment. I was like,
Yeah.
I am unstoppable. And then I never
and
scored
then Chris
again.
had a concussion.
Oh,
it was all a fantasy.
man.
The goal didn't go in. He just imagined it.
It wasn't a fantasy. I just didn't move at all, and the ball just hit me in the face and happened to ricochet in.
There you go. Skill right there.
It was
So-
on purpose.
I promise. No, I really did headbutt it in, though. It was really
Nice.
cool.
So, going
yeah.
back to the KJV only school,
Yes.
can you give us a few experience of its KJV-ness?
Ooh.
It's a weird word.
KJ Venus. I remember very explicitly we would have Bible verse quizzes every Friday. We had to memorize a Bible verse every week. And there is absolutely nothing more frustrating in the world than being in 4th grade and getting a point off because you wrote thy presence instead of the presence. Dude, It was the most infuriating thing of all time.
You accidentally write you instead of thou.
Exactly. It's the little
Lord.
nuances like that in reality don't matter at all because it's
Oh.
the same word.
Yep.
We'll talk about it later, but I study English, so like language is arbitrary, English is arbitrary. So the difference between thou and you are absolutely nothing this day and age.
Just start your whole journalism career
Honestly,
speaking in
this
King
is
James
why he
version,
went to
doing
It
that.
could be. Honestly,
He's like, I just want to prove these KJV only people wrong.
Thy football was thrown.
that football was
Oh,
thrown.
I think if you are KGV only, like you should have to speak that way, like in your life.
Yes.
It's a requirement.
Yeah, and if you don't, you're a hypocrite. Looking
Yeah,
at you.
I mean,
Sorry.
there were just so many. I won't say they were unnecessary rules, but they were very strict in their nature. And again, I'm thankful that I had that upbringing, but at the time, of course, I resented it because being an angsty teenager, you don't want to wear khakis to school.
Yeah. I
So-
feel that.
I remember one specific instance. We had chapel at least once a week, and it was always once a week. And one week, I was in middle school at this time. I was probably in 6th or 7th grade. There was a pastor who came in. I won't call him out, even though I know exactly who you are. And
Dang.
Somehow he listens to this.
I know your first, last name, where you preach currently, where you preach then. I'm on you,
Dang.
buddy. I'm just kidding.
It was
That was
me.
scary.
It was Nate.
I was an 8th grader.
No, but this pastor basically talked about music the entire time, and from my remembrance, my recollection of the events, he did not open the Bible once, but instead blasted every contemporary Christian music artist at the time, every mainstream artist at the time. Which, if you're gonna blast the mainstream artist, cool, but don't blast the contemporary Christian artist. And it received a lot of backlash from the student body. It was a very
What about
controversial moment.
What about like the faculty? How did they react?
They couldn't really, because the way the school's set into place is kind of fall in line or fall out. You know what I mean?
You adjust.
All right.
Nate's
I mean,
standing
I
up.
hope
is
that's
it
on the
true
video.
It's
what
not our
I've been
normal
told?
chairs.
Like, is it true what I've been told about the teachers not being allowed to go to the theaters?
I can't attest to that because
Or-
I'm not a teacher. But
Okay. At least that's what I was told.
yeah,
they
I mean, I
vow.
would believe it.
They vowed Chris to silence.
I signed an
Yeah.
NDA when I graduated.
He goes into 1st grade and they're like, sign this, buddy.
What is this?
Hands him a
Don't worry
crayon.
about it.
Oh, that's funny.
Legally binding.
Yep.
Oh, I just thought of something else I didn't put in the show notes. I was a very injury-prone child. So
What'd you
by the time I was 7, I had my tonsils removed, my adenoids removed. I had eye surgery. I had surgery in my mouth a couple times. Yes, Nate?
Are tonsils issues an injury?
I mean, I
Or
guess
an
not.
illness?
He
What I'm
screamed
saying
so
is-
loud that it just
Cut
the
the
tonsils
thing
out.
is, I had lots of health problems in my neck up region for the duration of my childhood.
Below the neck, he was made of steel.
Just straight yoke.
There you go.
we got Superman.
But I had muscular dystrophy when I was a child in my eye. So when I got sleepy or when I was focusing really hard, my left eye would just veer off, like undo its own thing, almost like it was falling asleep. And I went to Duke Hospital and had that corrected.
Yeah.
So shout out to Duke Hospital for
Nice.
not permanently blinding my left eye, I guess.
They're operating on you, and the eye starts rotating towards them.
They're chasing,
They're chasing it.
It's just like I'm not trying to get off topic, but
Grab the zip tie.
I heard a story today. Like, viewer discretion is advised. I'm not going to go into details, but this guy got put to under anesthesia. There's 2 types they have to put you under: one for paralyzation and one to put you to sleep.
Yeah.
He only got put under the paralyzation kind.
Oh, no.
And 16 minutes before they realized he experienced that, because they could only move his eyes. And then they gave him medicine to make him forget. Like, they don't know who did it per se, so that he wouldn't file a lawsuit.
Oh my
and
gosh.
He let's just say he had traumatic, it was traumatic to him, but he didn't know why. He didn't know what was
Yeah.
freaking him out anymore. So he ended up,
Was this
Wow.
Was
it's
this
so dark. And then his family sued, and they got of course financial, stuff isn't ever going to make up for that.
Yeah.
But it was, that was crazy.
Was that Wilson Medical Center? Just
I didn't mean to spin that on such a dark story. I'm sorry. I just heard that today.
The
and it was
whole
like,
mood
what?
just died in the studio today.
It starts off with "Welcome to Small World Podcast," and then it goes dark from there.
Speaking of studio,
Sorry.
if you're watching on video, you may have noticed that we've changed locations.
This is a little different in here, isn't it?
This might be temporary. This might be permanent.
We don't know yet.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
All right.
kinda cool,
Anyway, so a very conservative Christian upbringing led me to a indoctrination of Christian culture without any substance. Really,
That's a deep sentence.
That is a deep sentence.
I'm a deep man.
You're a long man.
Okay.
Long.
So back to the news. No,
Yeah, let's not
I
get into
laughed
the
way too
implications
loud
of
into
that.
the mic right there. It's the headphones.
Yeah.
Oh man. So what do we have next, Austin?
moving
Wow.
along.
We're still in the conservative school.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Right.
I mean, did you
okay.
find yourself wanting to do stuff work-wise? Like, thinking you could be a good person by doing works? You know what I'm saying? And not having grace through faith?
That's a good question.
through grace?
I don't think it aired on the side of legalism, honestly, because yes, Nate.
No, wait till you finish your sentence.
No, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
No, this is really going to throw it off. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I don't think it aired on the side of legalism because it was a very free will Baptist, but very like old-fashioned Southern Free Will Baptist type of school.
Original Free Will Baptist.
Original, the OG. So I would say that if anything, it inclined me towards laziness towards the gospel because I was able to take my work in Bible class and write that off as my work towards pursuing Christ. You know what I mean?
Okay. Makes sense.
Nate, your question.
How did your school's culture feel when the conservative running mate was Mitt Romney?
That's a really good one.
You know, okay, so when I was in 7th grade, I had a teacher. His name was Mr. Gert. I'll shout him out. Shout out to you, Mr. Gert. You're the only reason I passed math that year because I hated math. I'm so bad at math. I'm good at everything else, but I hate math. Mr. Gert, he gave us, we were in American history, and he gave us a mock presidential election of sorts. And everyone in the class voted for Mitt Romney except one guy. And Mr. Gert looked at us and he was like, do you even know why you voted the way you did except the letter beside that candidate's name? And that really molded a perspective in me that I carried for years to come because, you know, growing up in the pseudo OG Free Will Baptist culture, you're taught, you know, Republicans can do no wrong and Democrats are of the devil and no one else is right except the white man in the white party. I'm just kidding. It wasn't that deep. But, hey, it's
Sir.
a U-Haul truck.
What kind of school were you at again?
Why are
No,
they
I'm
putting
just
my
kidding.
car in the back?
It wasn't that serious.
Oh, yeah.
But no, yeah. So there is a sense, I mean, like, it's the same as the modern world today. Republicanism and evangelism are linked in a way, and it was the same sort of way in school as well. So as long as that candidate, to answer your question, as long as that candidate had an R beside his name, you know, we're advocating and we're pulling for him.
Yeah.
But
And for
Mr.
that-
Gert brought up a great point. He was like, but why though?
For that one moment, your school was like, Mormonism is close enough.
Which I
At
didn't
least
even
he's
realize.
not agnostic.
Which I didn't even realize until recently, like how, like Mormonism, they really, really want a Mormon president.
Yeah.
Really, like
Really badly.
Joseph Smith ran for presidency because he was going to push Mormonism in American politics.
Nope, I didn't know that part. Wow.
That's like the goal of a bunch of Mormons, and that's like part of their religion.
They got so close.
So if Mitt Romney became president, that probably would have been really, really bad. So, but all of us were like, well, all the conservatives were just like, yeah, Republican.
Yeah.
But it's
So,
like, but he's a
I
Mormon.
think there's like probably a great chance that Mitt Romney might have got impeached pretty quick.
Yeah, possibly.
What is it? The epic rap battles of history. I don't know. It might get crazy if the White House has a first, second, and a third lady.
Oh. Ah.
Shout out to the epic rap battles of history. Really inspired a love of rap for me at a young
My
age.
There you
favorite epic rap battles of history. I
Of
cannot
mystery?
talk.
Raggy epic rap battles of mystery.
is It's Mr. T versus
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
It's a great one. That's the season 1 finale.
Classic.
Oh man.
Oh man, yeah. So, ended up graduating from that school. My perspective on it today is not the same as it was then because with maturity, you get to look back at hindsight being 2020. I'm thankful I was there. I'm glad I don't have to do it anymore.
There you go. Well, what kind of transition then? So you went from there, and then you started going to Raleigh Road Baptist Church.
Yep.
So how did that go?
So, when I was younger, we went to a church in Elm City, which is a small town outside of Wilson.
Very small.
Yeah. So we went to a small church in Elm City, and I was young when it happened. I was probably 6, maybe 7, and I didn't know why we were moving. I just know that we were. Well, come to find out later, I don't want to say anything incorrectly or pose false accusations against the pastor who is still currently at that church. But if I remember correctly, there were concerns of plagiarism within sermons, as well as just an overall, we need to find somewhere else, a different calling.
Yeah.
What?
So,
where was this at?
In Elm City. That is as vague as I'll get.
Okay. No, I didn't realize. I kind of missed that part.
Yeah, it was Elm City.
I was getting ready to say plagiarism on expository preaching is a very interesting thing. How does that work?
Yeah, really.
I like I said, I was really young, so I don't really know that it was expository preaching. But at Raleigh Road, that's where I kind of got to see a more correct view of Christianity. I got to experience not being in that conservative Christian bubble for a little bit. Not that it's not conservative Christian, but it's a more realistic approach, if that makes sense.
I mean, we live in the Bible Belt.
Right.
Conservative Christian screams about everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd call it more biblical Christian than conservative Christian.
Yeah,
because
leave the politics out of it.
Exactly, because that's what we're supposed to do, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think your Christian belief should shape your political view. Your political view should not shape your Christian belief.
Yes, there you go. And that doesn't mean, as a Christian, don't get involved in politics, but don't let your politics shape your Christianity.
Yep.
So don't let your politics shape who you vote for either.
Politics change. The Bible doesn't.
Exactly. Hey, that's the quote of the day right there.
The grass withers, the flower fades.
This is now an interview of James.
The word of the Lord stands forever. Amen.
Okay. I was about to say, don't say the flowers fade. That's my last name. But I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
Fade.
I will fade. I will fade someday.
Yikes.
James, what's your middle name?
Boyce.
Okay.
Yeah, I just had this conversation the other day.
I was about to say, didn't we just have this conversation?
I feel like we did.
I'm sorry.
Okay, moving on.
Anyway, so went to Raleigh Road, got to experience that. Got to experience worship in that capacity for the first time, which was Raleigh Road worship back in the day used to be lit.
I heard
when you're
about
like,
what are you saying about Raleigh Road worship now?
They don't have fog machines anymore.
Yeah, I heard about the fog machines. I heard
it was a winter jam every Sunday.
Oh man, yeah, I've heard
Kids
that.
Town, yeah, that was lit. Come and go with me to my father's
Oh
house.
my gosh.
BBS must have been a wild time.
It was so good.
They had a little statue made out of car parts and stuff.
Yes, Gordo.
Gordo. That's what
Gordo
he was
is
called.
still there.
Wow.
They found
Gordo's still
Gordo
there?
and
Really?
brought him out.
They found Gordo, y'all.
He's sitting in the hallway.
The nostalgia.
I don't
They
know.
rescued Gordo.
He's back.
You need to go see
Gordo's
Gordo.
back.
This is a piece of history that I'm going to stray from.
Yeah, Gordo's there.
I was wondering
They're
what
doing
happened to
VBS next year.
Oh, nice.
They're bringing it back.
Shout out to
A
Gordo.
lot of churches are bringing VBS back.
As they should.
Yeah.
Because it was like, okay, we just got summer camps for a few years, and now they're
Yeah.
like, VBS.
Yeah. Well, that and I don't know. Like we did a little community thing at Raleigh Road recently, and people were like, "Churches just don't do this anymore." I was like, "What?" They're like, invite people from outside the church. I was like,
wow, yeah.
"That hurts just a little bit." But they're like, "Oh no, I'm glad you're doing it. You need more of it."
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
they said, shut it down.
James, do you have a comment?
I mean, I was just saying, like, I'm not against all vacation Bible schools. You just have to be very careful with a lot of them because, I mean, for me, I fell down the trap of like, oh, raise your hand if you want to know Jesus. But
Right.
they didn't go over true gospel of like you have to repent and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I rose my hand.
That's a really good.
You have a point.
So, I mean, it's just one of those things like I'm not against vacation Bible school. There's just a lot of churches that need to work on their gospel presentation.
Doing it correctly.
And not just have a crowd of kids and say, raise your hand. Because, I mean, for a while I lived a life of I thought I was saved, but I wasn't. Until later on God got a hold of me. So it's just very dangerous. So if you do it right, it could do amazing things. But that's if, like, the true gospel is in it.
Yeah.
I would
Especially
100% agree, but I have a counter argument.
All right.
Uh-oh.
Waves of mercy, waves of grace.
What?
You don't
Waves
know that
of
song?
Mercy,
Oh.
waves
That's like a
of
VBS,
grace.
like every.
I don't know that one.
Where I look,
You have not
I
been
see
on.
I thought
your
this
TikTok
face,
enough.
your love.
I thought this was about to be an
But James,
actual
that
sound
wasn't
argument.
to make light of your point. I really think that's very valid. 100% agree.
Well, thank you.
Na,
I mean, I was
na,
just
na,
confused for a second, but now I know. Okay, by you doing na 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 na,
I'm with you now.
I'm with you. I understand.
No, but that's a really
Oh,
good segue point because talking about Raleigh Road, the first time I thought I was saved was at Kidstown in Raleigh Road because it was that same sort of situation where it's and also at that school I went to, every chapel, didn't matter who the pastor was. The altar call that we did a few episodes back, it was that, but like actual.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to dive into a deep dive because this isn't a point of this episode, but like, you get into the theological perspective of what kind of decision can someone between the ages of 4 and 7 make?
Exactly.
Like, you know, like in terms of like, you know, you need to raise them up, teach them right, but that's a decision that requires a level of comprehension. Like,
I mean, it's dangerous too to give a kid that sort of theology of, "Hey, are you saved? Are you sure you're saved? Are you sure you're not going to hell?"
that's that terrified me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was more scared of hell
out.
than I was anything else as a kid. That's
Same.
it.
Exactly.
It wasn't even about going to heaven. It was just about avoiding the other.
I ain't going there.
I mean, I remember going to Upward, and at the end of the year, they would give you a card and say, you either became a Christian during Upward, or you rededicated your life, and there's not like anything
not a
else.
third
So I was
option.
like, I didn't rededicate my life, but I didn't become a Christian because I'm already saved, and I was like, am I just not a good Christian since I didn't rededicate my life?
Draws new box.
A new
New box
Right,
was
Jared.
never saved and will never be saved.
Oh, you never be invited back again. They'd be
You're
like,
kicked
kick
off
this
the
kid out,
team."
kick this kid out.
That's the devil.
Yeah, well, he's a demon.
man.
No.
Yeah, but I think that's dangerous theology. So even to this day, I can't point to a specific moment in my life and say that is the point at which I became saved, because there's a great quote on this, and I don't know who the original quote is, but I heard it from Spencer Davis. Shout out to Spencer Davis over at Snowbird Wilderness Outfitters. He said, "Salvation is like the sunrise. You can look up at 3 p.m. in the morning and see that, or 3 p.m. in the morning, 3 p.m. in the afternoon and see that the sun is rising and not know what time it rose that morning. But the evidence that the sun is there and present means that it's there."
Wow, that's
The sun is there means that it's there. That's not an exact
That's
quote.
good play on
But
words
But
right
you
there.
get the
really
idea.
good.
That's a good play on words
That's
right
so
there.
I've never
good.
thought about it that way. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, and there will be a lot of times where people like they literally teach on the fact that you should know exactly when you have got saved. But guess what? If it went the right way, you probably have no idea.
I mean, that's.
You don't have to see the sunrise to know that the sun is in the sky.
I mean, a lot of
Exactly.
pastors and preachers are like, "Oh, write down the date back in the back of your Bible. So whenever you have doubts, you can look at that." Well, that ink doesn't mean anything. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah,
And like really from a we talk about testimonies wrong. We make it seem like you have to have a testimony that you came out of your drug addiction and you were sleeping around and all this stuff and God delivered you. It doesn't happen like that for everybody.
Right.
I would venture to say it doesn't happen like that for more people than it does happen that way for. Is that a powerful testimony? Yes. But, you know, it's not like that's supposed to be looked at in a more positive light.
yeah. I mean, this is kind of a vague example, but well, not vague, but like the early life of Jesus. was kind of boring.
First 30 years?
Yeah.
Whack.
Like it was like the first, like, it talks about, they ran to Egypt and all that. And then the whole thing when he was a 12-year-old's debating with people. But other than that, he was just a carpenter's kid.
Yeah.
It's like you don't need that exciting story. That's not how God works. I mean, sometimes it's going to be that exciting story, but if you don't have one, so what? It's not about you. None of this is about you. So
Yeah, it wasn't like, oh, Jesus of Nazareth. It's like, oh, isn't that Jesus of Nazareth?
Yeah.
You mean that guy that lives like 3 houses down?
Mary's son?
That kid always acted a little strange.
Judas's brother?
No.
Or not Jude?
Jude's
Jude's brother?
Judah's brother, yeah.
Jude's brother?
Or no, and Jude and James.
Yeah.
James's brother.
You can never be a prophet in
Which
your
I've always
hometown.
wondered, what would it be like all the other kids getting spankings but Jesus, since he was perfect?
Oh, that'd be rough.
Jesus peeks around the corner while his brothers getting in trouble.
I feel like
Why does Jesus never get in trouble?
I would
Because
resent
he didn't do
Jesus
anything.
if I was the sibling, honestly.
They did.
Yeah.
They actually did.
No,
resent
yeah, I
him.
get that completely.
Yeah. Because they were like, he never does anything wrong. Well, he can't.
He can't.
Jesus
It
is like,
not
I'm
in
the
his
oldest,
nature.
so.
Oh, man. Where were we going?
What do we got next on the
I see
agenda?
that you were in the praise band and tech team. How was
Oh,
that?
yeah. Ooh.
Is that your first ministry position?
I guess. Yes. If you call it that, yeah. So, I did the tech team for a while because they just needed someone to do the slidey thingies. And so I did the slidey thingies.
Oh, yeah.
And
Done
then
that.
I unmuted Pastor Joe when he came up on stage. Shout out to Pastor Joe. That was pretty much it. There was nothing grand to it.
You sang a few
I
times.
know. I understand.
No,
sang?
after I was saying that was the tech team portion.
Okay, I was.
You sang?
After tech team, yes, I sang in the praise band for a while.
Can you give
Is
some
there some
vocalization?
recordings out here?
Yeah.
Is there some
Bro.
recordings
I
somewhere?
I hope not.
On the tech
Come on,
team.
bro.
We got
Like
some
your
digging to
your
do.
voice is perfect for it.
Small
Okay.
World fans
Nope,
out
nope,
there,
nope,
you have a
nope.
job. Help me find them. Send them to my Instagram. You
Pop
know
some
where
Don't
they're
friend my mom on Facebook.
Bro.
No, no,
Pops
no.
up on
Don't do
WikiLeaks.
that. But just help me find it. Just
I don't
do
have
something for me.
vocalization, but I can post Atlas.
Yeah.
Please don't post that.
Anyway, tech guys, shout out to the tech guys in churches because they don't ever get any love, but they get hate when something goes
They
wrong.
get hate.
So, like,
Yep.
Bro,
when-
if you are 2/10
there.
of a second behind changing the slide,
You see
and
the
the
praise
first
worship band of-
note of that worship
like,
leader,
Turn it. Turn it.
oh,
or when someone like
get you.
holds their mic near another mic and you hear a skate, and then
And then
everyone
they
looks
blame
back
it on
at
you. It's like they did it.
It's not my fault, guys.
oh man, yeah. Tech,
Oh, man.
tech is stressful. Couldn't
Yeah.
be me.
Yep.
Thanks,
As-
Nate.
Yeah. For all of our sound equipment stuff. Oh
I didn't
man.
even catch that at first.
So going to the next point, it's saying that you struggle to fit in and was always okay with everyone, but didn't really have a circle of friends.
Yes. So, I was not a likable person.
Oh no.
I still might not be. I don't know. James didn't like me.
Bruh.
He threw
James?
hot coffee at me.
That
Whoa.
that was partially on purpose, but also not. It was mostly on accident.
You threw hot
Mostly
coffee
on
at him.
accident.
I mean, I warned him to stop
Mostly?
throwing the spitballs at me. and
Oh, okay.
it just-
Yeah, I was that kind of kid. So
You're still that kind of kid.
Bro, what?
Dang.
Okay, whatever.
So mean, the
I'm
slander.
sorry.
I'm
It's his
sorry.
podcast, Nate. We got to
Poor
be
good
nice.
boy.
I get slandered
We got
all
to be
the
nice
time.
to him. Just this one
I'm
time.
in good boy. Like,
Would
Oh,
you
we gotta
rather
touch
me?
on Good Boy later.
Would you rather me putting it in writing and it be libel?
Oh.
Yes.
Dang.
But yeah, I was always a big kid growing up. Still am now. And something about size makes people wary to be friends with you. Like you always have an inherent disadvantage. You're picked last for sports teams, even if you're the best player on the field. And I never really had a network of friends ever, and just kind of had maybe one or two people that I hung out with all throughout high school. So shout out to Donovan. He was the one guy I hung out with throughout all my years. He's a police officer now. So, yeah, overall, I was probably a jerk because I desired attention. Like, I wanted friends, and nobody wanted to be my friend. And so I would act out in ways that they would give me attention, but not in the best manner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, to anyone that I hurt through that, I am so sorry. That is not who I
better
meant
now.
to be.
He's better now.
Hashtag
Now
better now.
He's doing a podcast and everything. It's
Yep.
kind of cool.
Really
Hashtag
official.
It's pretty
Yeah.
lit.
Yeah, it's pretty lit right here. Lit.
James threw hot coffee at me.
I still feel bad about that, not gonna lie.
But
Even though it was pretty funny, but I feel bad.
all this to say, there are certain people who, growing up, were always there for me, and I will forever be appreciative to them. Number one, first and foremost, Ronald Taylor. I would not be who I am or where I am today without him. So just his willingness to include me in group activities and hang out with me, even though he didn't have to, and just the way he helped me stay involved was super crucial to the foundation of my faith. He was the first person to show me what being a brother in Christ looks like. And I want to get choked up about it, but it means a lot to me.
Yep.
So yeah, Ronald's awesome.
There you go. So Ronald, he was basically around the whole time you were in high school too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, for most of it. And then when I became a junior, I think, he went on to work at Snowbird because he was a little bit older than me. Still
Okay.
is.
Okay.
That's how age works.
Yeah,
Really?
True. That is true.
So when he went on to Snowbird, we would go to Snowbird every summer. I should probably explain what Snowbird is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because we're about to go into a lot of that.
Yeah.
Probably.
Snowbird Wilderness Outfitters is a summer camp for middle school, high school students that is founded on really good Christian principles. It has a focus on outdoor recreations, and it's just a really awesome place to be. And so when we would go every summer, it kind of became a customary, like, you knew some of the people from your church were going to end up working there eventually.
Yeah.
Well, Ronald was one of those people. Ronald, Adam, the other Adam that was in the youth group at the time. I forget her name. There was a girl that went there too. Haley. There was a big group of the upperclassmen when I was in high school that went on to work at Snowbird. So being as close to Ronald as I was like, well, I want to be like Ronald. And Ronald was like, it would behoove you greatly to come work at Snowbird. Behoove. So
I like that word.
the first time, actually, this is probably important to get into first. Going into my senior year, I went to Snowbird for the last time as a camper, and outside of like retreats, those don't really count.
Yeah.
I went to Snowbird for the last time as a camper, and that was the first time I ever really had a moment of realization that I needed to take my faith seriously, because I remember very vividly sitting in the metal building with Ronald. The power had just gone out, and he had a flashlight under his Nalgene, and it served as like a lantern for the group. And we were sitting around, and we were all just pouring our hearts out to each other. It was me, Ronald, Ty. Who else was there? Were you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Fatsoon, I think, was there probably.
I think Zach as well and Dylan.
Zach was there, yeah. Shout out to Zach. Zach, we need to get you on the pod.
We do.
Love Zach. He's a great guy too. But I just remember him looking at us and being like, what are y'all waiting on? Why aren't y'all taking your faith seriously? You come here year after year and you hear the same thing to get energized for 1 week, and then you're on a Jesus high and you crash. What are you waiting on to take it seriously? And that was the first time that I had ever analyzed my faith and been like, wow,
Yeah.
I'm not taking this seriously. But as a junior in high school, I still had a lot of maturing to do. So, of course, there's ups and downs to that too. But then the summer after high school, I applied for servant team. And I got into servant team, and I called Ronald, and I was like, hey, I made it. And he was like, oh, that's cool. I'm leaving Snowbird. I was like, what?
That hits.
Yeah. So I went on to work at servant team at Snowbird on servant team. Met a great group of guys there. Great guys that I still love even to this day. A different Donovan, shout out to you. Austin Scott, great guy. I appreciate everything he did for me, even though I loathed him for it. I was very unappreciative during my time there. And Blake Lacey. Blake, We absolutely have to have you on the pod. Blake is one of the best guys I've ever known in my life. He's the lead singer of Back Row Baptist.
Yeah, you showed me some of his stuff.
Yeah, he's a
You're
really good
singer. I like it. My thumbs up of approval in my very strange music taste.
So, I worked on servant team. It was very long days. We would work. We had a meeting at 7:30 in the morning, and then we would usually finish our day around 10:30, 11:30 at night, and it was hustle, hustle, hustle the entire time. And it was a lot of work, but it helped develop my work ethic at that age, because before then I didn't really have much work experience at all.
Yeah.
So having that community, being force-fed the gospel, even though I hate to put it like that, but that's exactly what it was a force feeding of the gospel.
Yeah.
And just working hard. That was probably one of the most fundamental times of my life, because I just did a lot. And those 6 weeks were very strenuous. Unfortunately, I had to leave early because my grandma was having some health issues. But then when I came back, I was like, I need a job. Where did I go? Chick-fil-A.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm looking over at Nate right now.
Chick-fil-A is where Nate and I met. We talked about that last week on the pod.
We did.
Shout out to that orientation.
Yep.
Shout out to the orientation.
Are you going inside?
Yeah, that was an interesting.
You want to hear a funny story that I don't think I've ever told Nate? Nate had his interview with Miss Christie. Oh, I didn't mean to name drop. We can bleep that part out.
It's okay.
The owner and operator, right before I did, and he was in like a 3-piece suit. And
I was not in a 3-piece suit.
Dang,
I wore
son.
You had a
shirt
tie.
and a tie.
You had a tie.
Wow.
And I was
You
like,
had a tie?
We were just speaking about Mormons.
no. I looked at him and I was like, this dude takes this way too seriously.
Oh, no. You were on a mission, though. I'll give you that.
I was.
You were dressed for the job you wanted, not the one you were getting.
I mean, it shows your interest. Like, you're
Yeah.
going to give it your
Yeah.
all.
But at the time, I was like, what a chotch. Anyway, I'm sorry, Nate.
Man.
No, that's okay.
He's calling the police right now.
Yeah. Hey, there's
I've
we broke
always-
into four
to a card
strange men
store.
in white dragon.
Please come and get us.
Oh, my goodness.
Start making those names.
I don't know. I always wear a dress shirt and a tie and slacks to an interview.
You should. And
Yeah. Good
that's
advice.
correct. But at 18, I was like, what an idiot.
You
This
walk
is
in with your baggy
Chick-fil-A.
pants.
Meanwhile, Nate's like 19.
You have your hat backwards, baggy pants, gold chain around you.
What a
Oh, man.
loser.
What a loser.
Oh,
No, I
man.
think I was in a dress shirt, too. It was just the fact that he had a tie on. I was
Oh,
like,
okay.
bro.
I feel like a tie's not that big of an extra step once you already have the dress shirt on.
You have a point there.
Like,
I mean, I
it's
guess.
pretty easy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if the only difference is, do you really want to button that top button?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I started as a regular team member.
Nice transition.
And then I transitioned to the marketing team. And I joined that for a little bit. And I was part of hospitality. If you don't know what hospitality is, you know the little old lady that goes, "Can I refill that drink for you, sweetie? What are we drinking here today?" That was me.
Nice.
I didn't do the little old lady voice, though.
You should have.
That creeped me out just a little bit.
Imagine.
Like, no, I'm fine. You're good.
I think I intimidated people when I did table touch-ins because
You need some more drink.
you just have this big white dude being like, "Can I get you some more beverage?"
You like the Beavis and Butthead sound.
Sir, I really don't want to
You need a drink.
inconvenience you.
Oh,
They're
man.
like, "Okay, I'll have Sprite, please." Water, you said. That's fine.
As you get up to go bring it back, they leave.
Oh,
Hurry, we have to go.
Hurry, get out of here. Let's go.
Grab your purse. Grab the kids.
They've cleaned off the
Leave
table.
the kids.
They're in the play zone. Just leave them. They'll
They're having
defend
more fun.
themselves.
They're so afraid they've cleaned and wiped down their table. It's spotless because they don't want to like.
Oh, man.
Oh man, yeah. So I did that up through COVID. Ooh, shout out to 2020. Yeah. If y'all don't know, during the pandemic, Chick-fil-A closed their interior, so there was no need for a marketing / catering / hospitality team.
Oof.
So I was just a regular team member for a while, but then I became a trainer, and that was fun. voice crack.
Do you even puberty,
Shout out
bro?
to-
Like,
Shout out to Katie.
Why?
Huh?
What?
Oh,
Yeah.
because she was. Oh yeah.
I was just.
Well, no,
Just
she
on the
was.
podcast.
I think
she
she
wasn't-
had just left. At
Yeah,
that
she had
time.
left at that point.
I was just playing.
Shout out to Katie for my first day of orientation. She telling me that I had way too intense eye contact, whatever that means.
Dang.
At least
looked
she
at me,
was
she was
on
like,
us,
"Your
though.
eye contact is way too intense." It's like,
And that's why they were afraid of you at the tables.
okay.
may I take your order?
Stares right into the camera.
So
I see your soul.
I became a trainer. They didn't want me to be a trainer because I had a very playful attitude, and they didn't think I could be serious. But I proved them wrong, didn't
Hey, there you go.
I became the best trainer we had.
We got to stay out of these Chick-fil-A politics.
Yikes. Anyway, but no, I kind of saw it because I don't want to say something that's going to get me in trouble, but there was a general disposition of unpleasantness amongst angsty teenagers working at Chick-fil-A,
Makes sense.
and I wanted to raise the morale overall. So I just filled the role. And it's not that I wasn't capable of being serious. It's just that I filled the role where I was best suited.
I did the same thing. It was just in the kitchen, so I didn't get in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, have I ever told you about the day I thought I was going to get fired?
No, I don't think. You might have. But I forgot.
Oh no.
So
Chris getting fired?
I believe we're beyond the statute of limitations for this.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Chick-fil-A hires you back just so they can fire you.
You're all right. You're all right.
So there was one day I was in the kitchen. I don't remember why I was in the kitchen. I wasn't supposed to be in the kitchen. I mean, like, it's not that I couldn't be in the kitchen, but I had no reason to be in the kitchen. And another team member was prepping salads. And so she took her gloves off and she went to toss them into the trash can. And I smacked that into the stratosphere. I smacked the gloves out of the air. And I swear, as soon as they touched my hand, I never saw them again. They disintegrated into vapor. What I think happened was, I think they fell in a fryer somewhere.
Oh.
How was that near the salads?
It flew up.
Bro.
It went over.
Oh, you weren't front counter when they did it.
No, I'm saying I was in the back. They were throwing it away. So you know where secondary's at?
Yeah.
They're throwing it away at the trash can there, and I slapped him.
There we go, Chris. There we
that.
go. Oh, no. In the mouth.
Is my tooth on the microphone?
Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
What just
Okay.
happened in the last 3 seconds?
They're just over here having a conversation, and Chris goes,
Smacks the bottle, shoves.
that was to karma for the Chick-fil-A incident.
Karma.
Why'd you just smack it
But-
Why'd you smack the
She
gloves
went to
up?
throw it away, and I smacked it up in the air.
down, Mr. Basketball
So you're-
fan.
And I never saw that thing again.
So there's some people like lifted up
So
the French
did
fries and got
someone-
blue
That's some
rubber.
gloves.
So-
no, it was the clear gloves.
Oh, it was the clear one.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it'd be
even
like
better.
a stretchy.
It was like polyvinyl, yeah.
bro, it'd be a stretchy fry. Like,
yeah.
Did someone like see you do it and get on you? Is that how you almost got?
No, I just thought I was gonna start a fire.
Oh, that's how.
Oh.
Wait.
is that when the fire
Go ahead.
happened? Like a.
No, but I was there that day too.
You thought you
man,
were
I
gonna-
have so many good Chick-fil-A stories.
You thought you were gonna get fired because of that though?
Yes, because I thought I was gonna start a fire or something.
Especially if they let it in the fryer. Just, whoa! Where did that come
Yeah,
from?
like if that splashed up or something, that could have ended very, very
It's now
badly.
hibachi.
Yeah.
I never did
man.
that again because
Oh,
that
man.
spooked me.
Free splashes do
Never
not
did it again
faze
as he
me
smacks
anymore.
his bottle.
No, but I mean like it could have been bad.
Yeah,
I
those would have
understand.
just combusted in a fryer.
I mean, at least it's not like the KFC fryers where the rats are hopping in.
So if you got a spicy sandwich from Chick-fil-A sometime in 2019, just know that you could have eaten a glove.
Just now, there's a
If
recall
you
on
smacked
that
it all
one
the way to the
sandwich.
back corner fryer, you did something
That's
amazing.
some magic right there.
I don't even know where it ended up, honestly, but I was terrified
Someone
because
opens their Cobb salad and there's just
There it is.
dude, I never saw that thing again. I think what happened actually was it got like attached to the top rack where
That's very.
I think that's probably
Probably
what
still
happened.
there.
It might be.
Imagine.
It might be.
At some point in time, it falls off into the fryer.
I don't want to
you'll
get in
be-
trouble.
Chris
I just want
caused the fire a few years later.
I want
by
it
that
to
one
be
throw.
known very clearly that I heart Chick-fil-A still
Yeah.
to this day.
Look, all I'm gonna say is in a kitchen fire incident, should I pull the lever?
That's another great
I'm not
Chick-fil-A
saying
story.
anything else other than that, but yes.
If you're in a situation where there's an isolated fire in a kitchen, do not pull the lever that sprays chemicals on all the equipment.
With your fryer lids open so that they can all be cleaned out.
There you go.
I'm glad I got to go home early that day, though.
I was
Nice.
off.
No, you know the most fun I ever had working at Chick-fil-A was the Wilson County Fair. That was the best because I basically got paid to transport food and tea to and from, shout out to Leslie, who was actually operating the fair, and Miss Belinda.
You know
Nice.
who was probably breading all of that chicken?
You and
Me.
Herman.
Yep.
You remember Herman?
Oh,
You just
What a
just-
guy.
You just hit a. He just like shriveled. It's like, oh.
Deep chord. Okay, listeners of the Small World podcast.
Uh-oh.
There's this guy who used to work at Chick-fil-A named Herman. This is the last Chick-fil-A story I'm going to tell
Okay.
because we're dwelling on this too much. I don't want to get in trouble. Like I said, I want to reiterate, I loved all of my time at Chick-fil-A except the times after Chick-fil-A when other people were involved. But I loved my time at Chick-fil-A, the company, and working for the brand. And it was a great experience.
So hard right now.
Yep. Just
But
in case he
anyway.
needs a job someday.
There's this guy named Herman, right? And Herman swore to us, by the grace of God himself, that he played professional basketball in the 90s for the Orlando Magic's G League affiliate.
Well, back then it would have been the practice squad.
I scoured the internet.
I did too.
I could not find any
He
evidence.
also claimed he worked for a jewelry company that he was the CEO of that got bought out by K Jewelers.
So here's the reality of who
Sure,
Herman
please,
is,
we'll
right?
check
That man
that
is in the witness protection program. And he keeps making
Bro,
up these alibis.
When he said he was colorblind, and so he couldn't tell apart the different cheeses, but they have different patterns on them, so it has nothing to do with color.
wait,
Like,
I can't tell the
but then they-
pimento cheese.
They would catch him in it because he could it was other stuff too that
He was a character. Shout out to Herman. What's he doing these days? Do you know? The witness protection program moved him again. All right,
That's
yeah,
what
got
happened.
you.
Yep.
He's the founder.
He's the founder of the witness protection program. He's Mr. Witness. Herman Witness.
Oh man. So kind of transitioning, we saw the light side. We're going into the dark side, where you did something to your knee
Yes.
and your heart.
the injuries moved below the neck.
The worst 3 months of my life. That was nice. I like that. Call back to 20 minutes ago.
I was waiting for that one.
He's been waiting, like, just.
So I thought that I had everything very figured out for a short period of time, and my life was moving at a very steady pace, and then very all at once within a 2-week period, it all came crashing down.
Literally.
Yes. So before I injured my knee, which was the worst experience of my life, I'm not going to get into too many details here, but I was involved with someone that I shouldn't have, and it has left emotional scars to this day and hurt me in ways that I could never fathom asking someone else to go through. So a combination of that combined with taking a tumble in Chick-fil-A that ended in a knee injury led to the worst 3 months of my life. So I was on fries working in the kitchen.
I'm sorry for laughing at your pain. It was just a physical pain, though.
No, it's fine. It's whatever.
Okay.
I didn't
Not the
take any
emotional.
offense.
Not the emotional.
Nate's
just the
laughing at my emotional pain because
Oh,
he's had to be there.
no.
He's had to be there for me through it.
Emotional. Oh, no.
He's like, I get to laugh at this. I was there.
Oh, gosh.
So yeah, there was a broken tile in the kitchen on fries, and my boot got caught, and I fell onto the side of my knee. And like I mentioned earlier in the episode, and for any of our video viewers, I am a large man, so When I came down, I got caught against the wall, and the wall doesn't have, it's like there's nothing to grab onto. So I couldn't hold myself up in any way. When I came down straight on the side of my knee, and my entire body weight just on the knee. You know what I mean? So I had to be taken. I walked out of the building. Don't know how. No clue how I managed that because
pure adrenaline.
Literally had to be. I tore my MCL, sprained my PCL, broke my kneecap, and I think I pulled my ACL too.
And
so
you were able to
was
walk
your-
on that sucker?
I have no idea how.
Oh my gosh.
That was your Kobe shooting the free throws with the 22 weeks moment.
Oh my
It had to
lord.
be. Chris gets up, finishes shift on fries. Like, no.
No, I stayed there for like 15 minutes. I was like, I don't think I need to call my mom. And the adrenaline started wearing off. I was like, I need to call her.
Oh no.
There's just something about getting life-changing injuries and trying to finish a shift. Like, because Katie fell and hurt her back and was trying to work, and she's like
What?
literally crying at work, and they sent her home.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
word.
I never heard that story.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
She fell down a ramp with a book bag on, and it slid through it. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Why didn't y'all talk about that during her episode?
She don't want to talk about her life, I guess.
She did have a long
It's
episode.
the whole point of the podcast.
It was a long episode, but
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was restricted to. So we got to have a talk about workman's comp because this system is flawed. It took me 3 weeks after I got my injury to even get an MRI scheduled.
oh my.
So
word.
I had a knee immobilizer on. I couldn't walk on it, anything.
Yeah.
Oh, also the day after I fell, I couldn't put any weight on my leg whatsoever. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't walk on it at all. I was using crutches while I could, but it was very difficult to get around because, like I said, I couldn't put any weight on it at all. And I had used crutches before, so I knew how to use them.
I didn't see
Yeah.
Chris for a while.
Yes, I was literally out for 3 months. But where was I going with that? Oh yes, it took 3 weeks to get an MRI scheduled because
gosh.
workman's comp just didn't care. They're like, "Oh, you have a knee problem? Oh, that sucks." No, it more than sucks. I tore my MCL, and so the day after I had the injury, something popped in my knee, and like my whole knee retracted. It was like a rubber band snapping. I think that's the moment I tore my MCL was the day after.
Oh, man.
Oh.
That was the worst pain I've ever experienced in my entire life. It was awful.
Did you feel it run from one side of the leg to the other?
I couldn't even describe that
make a
level
sound,
of pain.
or-
Yes, it was like I don't even know. Like it was like popping a finger almost.
Oh,
That's the way it sounded. But
I don't like injury talk.
yeah, it's gross. So
Satisfying.
it took me 3 weeks to get an MRI scheduled. The
Yeah,
fourth week, almost a month after I had this injury, they finally do an MRI. They're like, "Yeah, your knee is very messed up." So I was on a knee immobilizer, so I couldn't move it in any way at all for I don't even know how many weeks. The whole injury, like it took me 6 months to get all the way better to where I was comfortable moving with my knee properly.
Yeah.
But I started physical therapy after 3 months.
Oh my word.
So I didn't have to get any surgery or anything. The doctor said that I was super blessed because the way it tore, it took the bone with it. So it was like someone uprooted a tree and put it right back where it came from.
Wow.
It was yeah. I'm very blessed that I didn't have to
That's-
have surgery.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I remember you after you got out of the immobilizer, you were still limping for
Yes.
probably 2 or 3 months.
It was very bad. It hurt a lot.
Oh my
And to this
word.
day, like I'm still very terrified of falling or injuring my knee in any capacity.
I don't blame you.
So more so than just being in physical pain, I don't want to say nobody reached out, but I felt like I didn't have any friends during that period of time.
I definitely failed as a friend during that time.
I mean, it's fine. Whatever. We're here now.
We weren't as close.
We weren't
back
as close,
then.
no. But there were legitimately weeks where I would go without talking to anyone. And I was salty. I was definitely salty because I felt like I had given a lot of myself to other people, and they didn't even have the decency to check up on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And no shade to you guys. You guys are not involved in this.
You gotta say that we're here.
After you just called him saying, "Hey, it's look."
I will say I was
Yes,
salty at Nate for a while, but it wasn't just Nate.
Bro, I was working.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I
know.
was-
But
I
that's the
don't-
thing. It's like life goes on for everyone else,
I
but
know.
you're stuck at home. You
It's
can't
terrible.
move. You can't do anything.
Yeah.
It was the emotional aspect of it was way worse than the physical aspect of
Mm.
it, because it's one thing to go through that, but it's another thing to go through that and feel like nobody's there for you through it.
Yeah.
How many seasons through a Madden franchise did you get during that time?
Dude, I swear I didn't do anything until like the second month I started working on my manuscript for oh yeah. Also, I had 2 short stories published way before this that won literary review contest, but that's
Ooh.
neither here nor there.
Hey,
That's
and
cool.
yeah,
We're just
that-
skipping over things. It's
the,
fine. But
the
yeah.
man with the Technicolor eyes.
Yes, The Man with the Technicolor Eyes and Chubby and the Devil. Those are the name of the 2 stories. You can probably find them online somewhere.
Yeah.
Yada yada boo. I've won like $800 total in
Nice.
scholarships for it. So
Just $800.
something slight, you know what I mean?
Hey,
Yeah, I
we
remember-
got 2 published authors on this podcast.
Hey,
It ain't me.
It's
Huh?
not me.
it's Nate.
Oh, cool. I didn't know this.
Yeah, remember he
I'm a
got
published
the
poet.
800
Oh.
Remember he got the 800 points
Oh,
for reading the
actually,
books. I'm
that
messing-
was a
I'm
correction.
messing.
It wasn't like 400. My mom corrected me. She listened to the podcast.
Mhm.
She told me it was like 700 to 800 AR
Nice.
points. So,
Dang.
sorry.
Yeah. I
The next
remember-
closest person, I'm sorry,
So-
the person below me had 300.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
They got the details.
That's impressive.
But yeah, I remember though the time you were injured because I just started to get to know you that
Mhm.
time, and I remember always wondering like, where's Chris? Like I knew you were hurt, but I was
Yep.
like, is anybody like I was thinking, is anybody like talk to him?
Nope.
Because I had barely, I don't even think I had your number. At
Yeah,
this
no.
point.
We
And
we barely knew each
we were
other.
We
acquaintances.
didn't
But-
hang out outside of work.
Yes.
Like we were at that point. And I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
like being at White Dragon, and I finally see you again getting out of your car, and I was like,
Mm.
Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember we were planning the ski thing, and I felt terrible that you were not able to go because you were like so excited
I was
about it,
excited.
and I was like, even when we were on it, I was like, I feel bad for Chris.
You put Chris in a tube and push him down.
the tube flips.
Way to go.
I mean, you were excited.
I barely
about it.
knew you, but you
Yeah.
were so excited, and I was like, yeah, we're all getting. And then he got hurt, and I was like, oh.
And I was thinking about like our last trip, how fun that was, and I'm like, yes, another trip with Chris, but like to the mountains this time, and just,
yeah,
Yeah, James and I have had some fun trips over the years.
yeah.
which I feel bad that I wasn't like close during that time, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I know that
Don't
like,
feel bad.
well, like
We all feel bad now.
Well, the
we're
thing
all
is,
feel
like,
I didn't say
terrible.
this to make y'all feel
I
bad.
knew that you were
It's just my
I know.
experience.
I knew you were going through a hard time physically.
Mm.
Mentally, I didn't know as much.
Mm.
found out
But I
about that
didn't really
later.
like, we like didn't really hang out like all the time
Right,
everywhere.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, I don't know. It's just I still felt bad since I wasn't seeing you like at Bible study or
Mm.
anywhere else.
Yeah, and I remember after you started coming back on Thursday nights. It was a moment I kind of felt like it was when we started getting closer as friends.
Mhm.
Is when you were kind of talking it through,
Yep.
and I was like, dang, like that was me like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
or
when
2
you were
years ago at
telling your
that point.
story, like I can relate pretty. Was that thunder?
That
I'm
was
glad I
thunder.
put my top up.
Dang.
I can relate pretty thoroughly because I mean, like I said, that was the darkest point in my life. I felt like nobody was there for me.
Mm.
I completely shut everybody out after that, and it took a while for me to even try to connect with other people. Like there were certain circles where I was comfortable engaging with other people, like at Bible study,
Mhm.
but I mean, like I hold resentment to this day over certain people who I thought were my closest friends and thought that I could trust to, talk about anything, do anything.
Yeah.
There's a person who lived in Wilson. We were best friends for a long time. Moved away to Wilson, came back to Wilson, and I didn't know until I saw them out in public. I'm like,
So what happened?
what? Yeah, what happened?
Yeah.
I thought we were friends. What happened?
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding.
Like Nate, how could you?
So-
You know?
That being said, that got me thinking about how when I was younger, the struggles I had making kids, I was like, what is it about me that is so unapproachable? And Nate, do you have a joke to make?
I may have misheard you.
You said
but
kids.
I think the struggle I had to make eating kids.
I mean, that's what I heard, but I was like, I know what he's
struggle I had
I know
making
what he's
friends
saying.
when I was a
sorry.
kid.
I'm sorry.
I
It
knew
was
what you were
Making
meaning.
friends with other kids when I was younger.
There we go.
There you go.
I'm sorry. I didn't
fine.
mean to kill your vibe.
So I started like psychoanalyzing myself, and that led me into, getting deeper into my faith, getting deeper into my theology.
Yeah.
And because I was like, well, if I don't have anyone else, I have to have God, right?
Yeah.
So even in that, I still feel like a failure to this day about how consistent I am with my faith. I also probably have a bout of imposter syndrome, but that's neither here nor there either. Because I don't think anyway. So I started reading some different people, started listening to some different people, and that kind of led me, I don't want to call it deconstruction, I'll call it a reconstruction of my faith.
There you go.
And there's a book by John MacArthur. You have my phone. I was going to look up the name of it. I don't even remember what it was called.
You don't have it in the show notes.
No, I don't. But that book by John MacArthur kind of led me to transform the way that I viewed salvation. Because, like I said, growing up free will, it's always about, well, you have to choose God. You have to choose God. And I was in the mindset of, well, if nobody even wants to be friends with me, why would the God of the universe desire me? Why would he accept me if I did choose him? And that was partially what led me into Reformed theology, because not having a choice in the matter just makes so much more sense to me. I don't want to make this, a Calvinist podcast, but just the whole doctrine of God choosing us, it was significant to me at the time because that was something that I didn't have in my life. And we're at the point now where we're talking about, a year ago, 6 months ago. And it's just crazy to see how God's been working in my life through that, because having that knowledge, having that understanding that, okay, we didn't choose God, God chose us, has led me to be more disciplined towards, well, if God chose you, then he chose you for a reason.
Yeah.
So it's time to stand up and act for that reason.
Yeah.
So.
Isn't it freeing?
Yes.
Because it's
very.
like you don't feel like the chains of you, it's on you. I mean, not saying go out and do crazy mess.
Oh, no.
Like, no. Like, there is fruit of the Spirit, like, that shows you are a Christian, but that's not making you a Christian. That's just the side effects of being a Christian. So, I mean, there's a clear difference, but, I mean, it's just very freeing.
And like I said, even to this day, I have struggles where I don't feel like I'm worthy of going to God for prayer, even though I know that that's what he's called us to. I go through times where I don't feel worthy of approaching God with my sin struggles, even though that's what he's called us to. And it's comforting to rededicate myself to the knowledge that no matter how much sin there is in the world, no matter how much shortcoming there is always more grace. And that's been pretty fundamental for me lately.
Yeah.
I'm curious which book you read now. Like, I really want to know.
I
'Cause
can look it up
I just
real
finished
quick.
one of his
Yeah,
books.
I can memorize
I
that.
love John MacArthur.
But yeah, it seems like though, like when you start realizing, where you are in your faith and what your faith is, that's when, I mean, there is an enemy out there, and that's when those doubts start to come. And yeah, I can see that in my own life. You're just like, oh wow, I'm doing great, and then you're like, oh man, but I did this, and it's just doubt. And that's the strongest tool, is just basically make it awkward between us and God. Because when it's awkward, that's when you don't pray. That's when you don't do, like, you don't go to his word. You're just like, this is kind of awkward between me and him. Because in any relationship, if you feel like you've wronged somebody, you're going to have that. But it doesn't work that way with God, because, he's merciful, he's loving.
It's called Ashamed of the Gospel.
That's actually one I'm wanting to read. I just finished finished the book from The Gospel According to Jesus, and I'm currently working on the book Strange Fire. Which is a really good book. I recommend reading The Gospel According to Jesus before you read Strange Fire, but I'll definitely have to put that on my wish list.
Yeah, if I could recommend 3 reading materials for a young Christian, it would definitely be Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. What is it? The Pursuit of the Holy by A.W. Tozer. Is that, or is it the
Sounds
Knowledge?
right.
The Knowledge of the
I
Holy.
think it's Knowledge of the Holy.
Knowledge of the Holy by A.W. Tozer, and that one.
Yeah.
That's the name I've already forgotten already by John MacArthur.
Yeah.
There's another one I
Ashamed of
highly
something.
recommend.
Ashamed of
It's
the
The
gospel.
Holiness of God.
Yep.
By R.C. Sproul.
Yep.
Ooh, R.C.
And if you
Sproul.
get the Audible edition, it actually has his voice narrating it.
Oh,
But-
wow.
So apparently they got him to narrate it before he passed.
That's cool.
Or it's some of that AI mess that
Mhm.
Amazon's doing. I don't know, but it just it fits the book really well.
Yeah.
So I'm currently listening to a podcast called The Rise and Fall of Mars Hill. And speaking of things that have been fundamental to faith, that podcast has been really eye-opening to the way that I have viewed church leaders as well. I'm not advocating that you distrust all church leaders and everyone's Mark Driscoll or anything. But I don't want to misquote it, but there was a quote in there. It was so good. He was talking about how we look back to authors of the faith and trust them the way that we would our fathers because they can't discipline us like our fathers. And that was like it made me think about the way that I read Christian literature, because it's like, yes, you are completely right. I am reading this in a way that I want my father to be proud of me, but C.S. Lewis cannot discipline me spiritually today. A.W. Tozer cannot discipline me spiritually today.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, when you read these books, keep that present, would be my warning.
That's a really good way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I agree.
It's really good stuff.
Yep.
So
On to the next part. We'll
give
kind
my
of go
face
back.
for the
Yeah,
lock.
for your lock. I can look at the notes again.
Such a sweet puppy.
That is a sweet.
Yes, I have a dog named Raven. She's my light to my life.
So, kind of going now to, I guess, current times.
Mhm.
You are currently going to ECU.
Yup, go Pirates.
Yeah,
I
we've,
think-
we've heard that spiel a few
Third tier?
times.
I think y'all
Fourth
are
tier?
y'all are a little bit aware that
Let's go
I've
Pirates.
drunk the purple Kool-Aid.
He has drunk a lot of the purple Kool-Aid.
We call that lean on the ECU campus.
The lean, yes, that's incredible. That's funny. I love that.
Oh man.
Yep. So I go to ECU. I finished up at Wilkes Community College. Got my associates in arts degree.
Let's go, Wilson.
Shout out to the Dub. Just kidding. Please stop. It's not an accomplishment.
Look, there's people out there trying to get their associate's degree right now, and you're telling them it's not an accomplishment.
It's an accomplishment
Man.
for them, but I have loftier goals. So
If you're trying to get your associate's degree, Chris is better than you.
Yep. That's what
no,
you
that's
said.
not at all what
That's
I'm
what he
saying.
said.
That's
That's what he
not
said.
at all what I
He was
said.
trying to say, have a higher standard.
Have a
No,
higher
I am
standard.
proud of anyone
Better
trying
yourself.
to attain a higher level of education. You're doing great, and you're going to make it all the way. I know. I trust in you. I believe in you.
Encouragement.
You
So
righted
anyway.
the
I
ship.
like it.
I go to ECU. I am a senior. # fifth year. Just kidding. That's COVID's.
Dang.
That's COVID's fault.
Yeah,
That is actually
yeah.
COVID's
I
fault.
mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I was just.
Yeah. I mean, it's my 4.5 semester, but
Yeah.
it's fifth year. Whatever. I think it's funny to say. Studying
Super senior.
studying English with a minor in communication. Currently working at the East Carolinian. It's kind of a funny story how I ended up at the East Carolinian. So I got an email one day. It was like, actually, I saw this in 2 locations. I got an email. And it was like something about writing. And at the time, I was looking for a creative writing club at East Carolina because I was like, well, if I want to do something with this, I want to be passionate about it. I want to get with other people who are like-minded about writing.
Mhm.
So I was like, cool. There's not a creative writing club. I was like, what?
Yikes.
So
Not at
anyway,
ECU.
I'm the treasurer of the creative writing club now, though, because we established one this semester.
Nice.
So
Congrats.
There you go.
You paved the road for future people.
pave the way.
Nice.
Yep.
Founding father.
They have
He
a
was-
statue of you.
He was
The
Knox to
treasurer.
the Luther.
I was the Calvin to Blake's Luther.
There you go.
Anyway, so that the creative writing club came later, so I was like, well, heck, I want to write somewhere. So then I was using the bathroom on a Tuesday. I remember this so clearly. It was like it was another one of these flyers. It was like, hey, come try out for the newspaper. And I was like, all right, I'm not doing anything for the next hour and a half. So
How do you try out for a newspaper? Like, write the article.
yeah, no. So what they do is they give you, well, so it was 2 parts. The first part was a like fill in the blank form about general knowledge about East Carolina, about North Carolina, all that kind of stuff, like who are our senators, who's the governor, who's the chairman of ECU, where is this building located, all that sort of stuff.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Right
I didn't
now I might fail.
I didn't know any of the ECU part. I knew I was past senators with flying colors. That part was great. I know I like local government. One of the questions was who's the mayor of Greenville. I wrote down Miss Greenville. I had no clue. But then the second part was a written portion, and they gave you like I think it was like 15 facts about a fire in the library at Joyner Library, and they were like, write the first 500 words of an article using only this information. So I wrote it, and then they're like, we have 3 sections. We have sports, we have arts and entertainment, and we have news. Pick which one you want to be in from most to least. So I was like, sports, news. Because I do really not want to be in arts and entertainment. Yes, I don't hate arts and entertainment. I didn't say that. I love sports. I love sports.
Bro, this guy knows everything. Like, you go to, say, a team, and he'll tell you the whole life history of that one single player and their hometown, where they grew up,
Their net
who his
worth.
best friend was.
Their network.
He knows everything. He's like
What their
Wikipedia
first
on that
car
one person.
was, the name
I'm
of
an
their cat.
encyclopedia of absolutely useless information, including sports knowledge.
It's obviously not useless if you're using it for what you're doing.
True.
Yeah.
Monte Morris, go.
Monte Morris, he played for the Nuggets for a few years. He was drafted in the 2nd round. I want to say he was the 49th pick in 2013 or something like that. I don't know where he went to college. I was about to say, for a while, I could tell you where every NBA player drafted went to college. I can't do that anymore because I haven't kept up with it. But like the higher profile players, I still know where they all went to college.
Who does Monte Morris currently play for?
The Bulls?
It's the Washington
The Wizards.
baby.
I should have
Wizards.
known. I should have known
I
the
don't-
Wizards
I don't
fan
have
would
any.
ask that.
I don't have any.
You're a
feelings about
Wizards
Monte
fan?
Morris.
It's so weird,
Look,
right?
it hurts, man. Don't bring it up.
How does it feel that Michael Jordan is your franchise's best player?
That's actually consoles me a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Anyway, so I've been writing with the East Carolinian. I started off as a candidate. I was a sports reporter last semester, through the summer semester as well. And I am now the chief of sports. So
Nice. Moving
fun
on
stuff.
Up in the world.
I'm excited. It comes with a lot of responsibility, so I'm kind of nervous for that. I edited my first story the other day, and I felt mean the whole time. I hate telling people
This is
to
trash.
I hate telling people to fix things. I felt so
Oh,
mean.
Man.
As he tells you to get a better education. I'm messing.
Bro, if you're going for your associates, cool, but that better not be the end goal, is all I'm saying. That better not
There
be
you
the
go.
end game.
Proponents
Look,
of
you need to
education
listen
here
to
at the
this
Small World
week's Small
Podcast.
Talk, and that you're gonna completely reshape.
Good plug, good
Once
plug.
it gets posted.
I'm sorry.
Once it gets posted.
I'm sorry.
It's posted.
I didn't know it was ready.
I didn't message you at all.
Here at
Oh,
Small World
man.
Media, we are very connected.
Yeah, we do great here.
James didn't even know where we were recording
No.
until like
I was driving and Austin calls and he's like, "Hey James," and I'm like, "Hey," and he's like, "So, you know where we're at?" And I'm like, "The same place." And he's like, "No, no."
At least it's close.
So I was heading there, but he
Sorry,
called me
James.
right before I made the wrong turn.
Oh, wow. That was
Look how
clutch.
we got
Like
'em.
it was just before, and I'm like, "Okay."
There you go.
So yeah, senior at ECU. Hopefully, we'll be graduating in the spring semester if we can get past Spanish 4. Spanish has been the bane of my existence. I don't speak a word of it. I'm just kidding.
As we started off with you speaking Spanish in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yep.
No, I know muy poquito español. Muy poquito.
Oh,
The vocabulary's
If
killing
we drop
me.
you into a primarily Spanish-speaking country, are you surviving?
How good are they at charades?
Pretty good.
¿Dónde está el baño?
Hey, there you go.
I mean, you just
Bathroom,
go
right?
like this. They all start pointing, bro. I tell you, they all start pointing to that back room.
Right over there.
I guess, yeah, it depends on how good they are at charades because I'm going to get super frustrated not being able to remember a word. And I'm like, what's chicken? Pollo! ¿Dónde está pollo?
They're like, why are you mad?
Just don't do what I was doing to people. I thought their hats were looking nice, so I was like, bueno. And then it's like,
Good.
Like, I would go, bueno. And they're like staring at me, and I have to point to my head. And then they're like,
Okay, cool.
huh? And then I was like, sombrero. And they're like, oh, gracias.
We're like, oh,
You couldn't just say bueno sombrero or like add it into the.
They're judging
Oh, man.
intently.
Yeah, so I have to pass
Stupid
Spanish
gringo.
4. I'm.
Oh,
the thunder.
That was the sound of Spanish
na,
for
na.
That was Spanish 4
approaching.
coming for me. That was good ASMR.
the
though.
final
Yeah.
boss.
That is literally nothing else from here matters except Spanish 4. But I have my favorite professor this semester. Shout out to Dr. Wilson Akamura. He's my favorite. He's so good. I love his classes. It is raining heavily.
Man, it's
We
gonna
have to
sound
carry
really
all
good.
the audio equipment out of here.
It's all good.
I have to drive in my little car
Ooh.
that likes to slide.
Oh, boy.
Jokio Drift starts playing.
Bro,
might
it
be the
happens
final
a lot.
Small
Here's
World
the real
podcast.
question. If James dies on the way home, can we still publish this episode?
Do we
Do
get
it in
That's a
remembrance.
As a
in
tribute.
remembrance?
James
could do the
almost
really-
made it into official memberhood of the.
He was Nate got replaced, but then James died on the way leaving.
Oh, no.
So then
Yo,
Nate
it's
had to
boring.
get back.
Are they
Y'all
going to be able to
probably
hear
sounds-
this?
Yeah, they'll be able to hear us.
Maybe
I'm
a
sure.
little bit.
Ah,
Will they be able to
hello.
hear the rain?
Hello and
That's what I'm
welcome
saying.
to the Small World Podcast.
Just move the
ASMR
microphones
session.
outside.
Oh,
you
man.
enjoy this calming rain.
So, yeah.
I'm
What's
house
next
sitting.
for me? Hopefully, I'll graduate with a degree in English. That's
you
the
go.
plan.
Hopefully, make it
What's
home
your
tonight.
What's your plan with that though?
I would love to go into sports media in some capacity. If that's ESPN, if that's The Ringer, if that's the Wilson Daily Times.
Would you accept Barstool?
I would love to work at Barstool. Absolutely.
Just had to ask.
I would love to work at Barstool.
That would
But
be cool.
yeah, I wanna write for a living. That's hopefully what God has for me.
Yeah.
But we'll see, I guess.
Hey, you're kind of doing it somewhat of a journalism thing right here with Small World Media.
Right. Yep. I guess that's something we can talk about too, is the birth of Small World Media.
Yeah.
So I knew that I always wanted to do a podcast way back in the day. Now this will be a fun, if you can find it, thing for our listeners out there. I used to do a podcast called Claustrophobia, Small Talk in a Small Space, with Logan Massey. I'm not shouting you out, Logan. That's not a shout out.
Oh,
Wow.
Logan, he didn't.
They
mean
were
it.
they were
He
they were
didn't
okay
mean it.
podcast. It was not as professional, but I
It
mean
was
it
not
was,
as
it
professional
was
at
Didn't
all.
have this amazing lighting.
it was
that took me forever.
pretty
to set
good
up.
with what y'all had.
Yes, we had a good time though. And I always knew that I enjoyed podcasting and I wanted to do another podcast. At the same time, I wanted to hone my journalism abilities. I wanted to improve as a journalist, and that kind of in part led us to where we are today with Small World Media.
Nice. Yeah.
Did
now
you
we're trying
mean
to release
the
5.
Chicken Boys?
The Chicken Boys.
Los Pollos Hermanos?
We don't discuss those days.
The Chicken Boys. That sounds really cringy.
That
It was cringy. I think
Everything
that
about
was
the Chick-fil-A
premise of it.
era was cringy.
Wow.
Anyway,
That wasn't a
Moving
legitimate
on.
idea.
And then
I
I
want y'all to know
got
that.
to feel the drama of Chick-fil-A
Oh.
because most of my friends worked there.
So they just told all the tea to
James is
there.
Yes.
honorary
No. It was awful.
Gee,
I would
man.
invite my friends to hang out, and all they would talk about was stupid Chick-fil-A politics. And I'm like, so what do you guys want to do? And they're like,
Talk about Chick-fil-A.
whatever. And then they're
Right.
talking, and I'm like, I don't care how you like make a nugget different than this person. Like, I just
Talking
don't care.
about Chick-fil-A politics is a vibe.
yes, it is. It's a whole. It's a if you know, you know.
If
type
you know,
deal.
you know.
Tight circle.
Yep. So
Nice.
catch my books hitting your shelves sometime in the future.
About
Working on a manuscript.
5 to 10 years? Or are we hoping earlier?
Do what?
Ooh, look
5
at
to
that
10
win.
years, or are we hoping earlier?
We're gonna die.
Hopefully sooner. Wow, that rain is coming in sideways. It is
Oh
hitting the
my
door at a
gosh.
parallel angle.
That is
Guys,
getting-
if this is the last episode of the Small
Tell
World
my
Maybe
mother
a
I
tornado
love
the
her.
next second.
Golly.
if a tornado happens right now, we have to keep recording, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, we have to hit the upload button as soon as we can.
We just got to make sure it says saved. That's it.
That'll
I
be
got
my first
podcast
laptop
camera
and you
right
see
there.
me like trying to edit.
Can I borrow a hotspot? I got you, fam.
That'll be my first
Holy
book.
crap.
The Tornado Podcast.
Goodness gracious.
No, I would describe my writing as somewhere between C.S. Lewis and Quentin Tarantino.
That's a good writing style.
Thunder.
I'm like watching this. I'm watching this light pole out here just holding on for dear life.
Falls on all of our cars in one
Oh,
single
boy.
line.
Okay, just one important question though. Power goes out, we still have audio a little bit.
Yeah,
then we'd be in a creepy
it's
room.
powered by my computer.
Okay, that would be kind of cool. Just the lights go. Doo! We're like, oh no. I have to turn on
Anyway.
the flashlight on my phone over there.
I mean, I hope. But
I mean,
it's supposed to be.
We've gone off the rails.
I'm sorry. We just got distracted by a massive storm outside.
All right, so yes, my books will be hitting the shelves one day. That's a personal goal. I want to be a best-selling author, but
Nice.
it's still raining outside.
What qualifies someone as a bestseller?
I do not mean to sound sarcastic when I say this. How many copies of the book are sold?
I mean, I
Yeah.
knew that, but like, what's the number?
It depends.
Mm.
You just have to be
Better than everybody
yeah,
else.
It's
There
like
you
points
go.
per game. You don't have to have a certain number of points. You just have to have more points.
Chris
than,
gets at the season where they're averaging 15.9 at the top. He's like, I made it though.
I made it,
No,
boys.
No, I'm just kidding.
But yes,
I love your writing.
stop. My teaser is that my writing is somewhere between.
Oh, he just broke
Oh
the
no,
thing.
the podcast is gone.
Oh, okay, we're good.
I
We're
wasn't
good.
really
We
using
chill,
them
we
anyway.
chill.
They were just for a look.
For aesthetic.
No, I mean, I could hear, but
My teaser
Everything's recorded.
for my writing is somewhere between C.S. Lewis and Quentin Tarantino. I think that's a fitting name for the episode of this podcast.
That works.
is that the one-liner?
Yes.
That's
I was
the
saving
one-liner.
that. I banked it.
I'll write that down.
All right.
I got to make the thing and all that tonight anyway. So
How are we doing on time?
We're at an hour and 30 minutes.
Woo! We need to wrap it up.
I feel like you just wanted to be the longest
Really?
podcast.
I really
We're
didn't.
in.
I
It was-
thought we were like 30 minutes in, honestly.
for real?
I'm
No.
very serious.
I was looking
What
at
time?
the,
It's
I was looking at
11?
I was
Yeah,
looking at the
yeah.
clock
Clock
going
right
up
there.
and down because it kept on like flashing me, and I'm like, oh, hello.
Wow.
getting
Yeah,
late.
we need to wrap this up.
Yeah, we do.
No.
I was like, hello, 9:40 or 9:50. Oh, hello.
Oh, that's
So
11:18.
anyways, there, Chris, do you have any words of wisdom for our listeners and viewers?
Boy, do I. My parting words of wisdom. I actually didn't prepare anything, but I want to have something, really, you know what I
Really
mean?
meaty.
It's
Guys,
really
speak
raining
up
out
over
there.
this rain.
Words of wisdom. Never feel inadequate for what God has called you to.
I like it.
All right.
That's pretty good.
We'll see you
I
next
would-
week.
On the
Small
same
World
mic
Small World
podcast, drop my
Podcast.
mics.
What?
I said I would say drop mic drop, but don't drop my mic.
Yeah,
Mic
please
drop.
do not drop the mic.
Thank you, and we'll see you next week on the Small World Podcast with a new guest that's not us.
Yes.
Woo!